ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ Okay, I'll start reading. Vivikta
Yeah,
Desha
yeah.
yeah,
Oh no, I was saying yes. Okay.
yeah. Vivikta Desha Sevitva. Vivikta Desha Sevitva is love for a quiet place or seclusion. Desha is place. Vivikta means separate or solitary. And Sevitva is to inhabit or resort to. Vivikta Desha Sevitva is a value for resorting to a secluded place. Why should one love for spending time in a solitary place be listed as a value? It is not the isolation of the place that makes the value. But what is valuable is the kind of mind that is happy in such a place. A mind that is quiet and appreciates solitude is a mind that has love for being with itself. This is a beautiful attitude that is not found very often in our society. We are a society of people bent on escaping from ourselves. We try to escape because we are not satisfied with ourselves. We see ourselves as not being the way we would like to be. Therefore, we keep the mind busy so there is no time, place, or quiet in which we can be with ourselves. Even on the telephone, if there must be a waiting period, music will often be provided so mind can be occupied. We travel from beach to mountain, sand to snow, and back again to escape from ourselves. Wanderlust is a good expression for this urge to travel. For the stay-at-home amusement parks, movies, television, sporting events, magazines, newspapers, parties become the means for escape. It is not that there is anything wrong with travel or recreation. The problem is the need for escape. For some, the avenue of escape may be drug or gambling or drinking. Whether harmful or seemingly benign, the need to escape betrays reluctance on one's part to face oneself. You can tell the activities have become an escape for you when without the activity you feel lost, sad, or incomplete. The occupation that leaves you feeling incomplete when you cannot have it has become an escape. A given activity by itself is neither an escape nor a non-escape. It is the reason behind the activity that makes it escape or not. A person will sing because he has nothing else to do. That is not escape. But the escaping person will sing because there is something he cannot face. And singing occupies his mind so he does not have to look at it. Singing or listening to the music can be either an escape or a non escape. When people become agitated, if they can sing, you will find they will begin whistling, humming, and or singing because they want to shake off certain thoughts. In fact, what they want to shake off is themselves, their reaction to an unwelcome thought. They think of some sad event or some mistake they have committed, then immediately a whistle will start or a song will come out. This is not song of a happy person, but the song of escape. This tendency of mind to want to escape is a universal thing. Everywhere in the world, human mind is same, whether Indian or American or European. The basic tendencies in mind will be the same. Cultural differences are found only in response to these basic universal tendencies from culture to culture. The avenue of escape will be different, determined by the nature of the society in which one finds oneself. Social factors will determine the way of escape. But the desire of the mind to escape is a universal thing. A person who enjoys being with himself in quietude is not a sad person. He is simple, quiet, contemplative person. To be contemplative means to be able to face yourself happily. If you cannot face yourself happily, the mind will always require an escape. An escape is an occupation that engages the attention of the mind so that it does not have to be with itself. For the one who wants self knowledge, it is very important to have a value for being oneself, for quietude. Lord Krishna mentions this value Vivikta Desha Sevitva more than once in his counsel to Krishna. In chapter 6, verse 10 of Gita, talking about meditation, Lord tells Arjuna, Yogi Yunjita Satatam Atmanam Rahasi Stitah Ekaki. The yogin should dwell constantly on the self established in solitude alone. I learn to be with myself by willingly moving to a quiet place where I take stock of myself and learn to love and accept myself. When you have a habit of repairing to a quiet place, you are learning to be with yourself. When you have learned to be with yourself, you have come to terms with yourself. Clear knowledge of yourself is now possible. One of the basic human problem, as Fujisamji tells, is self non-acceptance. So that cannot be removed without self knowledge. But this is a kind of a relative acceptance of oneself by learning to spend time with oneself in a quiet place. So this is again like other values. This value will be absolute only when one gains self knowledge, but a relative amount of it is required to gain self knowledge. So that's how we have to understand. Is there anything we have to discuss, or shall we continue?
No, I think we can continue, Shami.
Okay, then can you please read the next value? It is
Yeah. Arati Janasamsadi. Aratihi Janasamsadi. What is the dot indicates on Yam? Hello? Hello?
sorry, I was muted. I think it is just Samsadi.
Okay. Rati means love for something or inclination towards it. Adding "a" to Rati makes the word indicate a lack of inclination towards something. Jana stands for people and Samsadi means in an assembly or collection. So this value means a lack of craving for company, not reveling in company, not courting company. This is not a value that calls for hatred of company. Company is not bad. It is not that one should dislike being around people. If the people are there, fine. Be happy in their presence. But know that you do not require people to be happy. Could you please scroll down? Love of quietude, Vivikta Desha Sevita, in which one is happily with oneself and not longing company. Artihi Jana Samsadi. are companion values. They complement each other. It is not that a quiet place in and of itself is intrinsically something good, or that the presence of company is something bad, but the values are for a happy, non-escaping mind that loves being with itself. Such a mind is happy with itself in quietude, doesn't run after escape, neither revels in or nor hates the company. These are two beautiful attitudes. Neither revels in nor hates the company. These are two beautiful attitudes. With these values, I will never need to seek escape from being with myself, nor will I be disturbed either by the presence or absence of people. I will have composure whether I am with people or without them. It is important to see the basis of these attitudes, to see through the values to the value underneath them. Arati Jana Samsadi is not a value for avoiding people, nor is Vivikta Desha Sevita a value for seeking quietude because one cannot stand people. Someone who seeks seclusion out of hatred of people is not expressing these values. Such a person is afraid of people, and fear of people is not a desirable thing in life. Equally, the other extreme, courting the company of people all the time to escape from oneself, is not any more desirable than the fear of people. The attitude that is proper is not hatred of people but a simple love of quietude because I love to be with myself and therefore do not court company. This attitude establishes the right frame for a contemplative mind, for a mind given to inquiry, vichara. Inquiry here means inquiry into the basic, profound questions about myself. Who am I? What is this creation? Who is God? What is the relationship between God, the creation, and me? Inquiry into these certain questions requires special sensitivity of the mind, sensitivity beyond what is needed to inquire into the functioning or description of tangible object or processes. Inquiry into something tangible, how to make bread, or even the grammar of a language, is aided by having changing objects to see, to watch. One can see the modifications, vikara, taking place upon things, whether in a pan or dough or upon the stems of nouns and verbs. However, when the vichara is inquiry into the self, we are dealing with something that, although fundamental, is not tangible. The self is not a tangible object that lends itself to trial and error methods checked by gross perceptions. The knowledge of the self must be seen as a whole. To appropriate the knowledge of the self, to see the self for the non-objectifiable wholeness that it is, requires a mind that is contemplative and sensitive. However, the sensitivity doesn't imply getting hurt at every turn, but it should be backed by healthy attitude and objectivity. Values come when I thoroughly understand my relationship to people, places, and things around me. In a factual understanding, those situations, attitudes, or events which I consider hurtful lose their significance for me and thereby their sting. Pride and pretense, which court hurt, drop away from me. Non harmfulness and accommodation, which soften hurt, become natural for me. The mind that doesn't get hurt is an undisturbed, non-reacting, fresh, simple, and a contemplative mind that can appreciate the whole as it unfolds in the teaching of self-knowledge. Resorting to a quiet place, vivikta desha sevita, and absence of the need for a company, arati jana samsadi, are attitudes that establish such a contemplative mind, a mind ready for contemplative life centered on self-knowledge.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
there
So,
are a couple of things here, like uh, the first thing would be, I mean, in a real life, daily life, it's very, very difficult for a karma yogi, at least these days. I mean, say in some certain people's company, we really don't like to stay. We want to run away from them. So sometimes they spoil. I mean, people are like this these days. Uh, we have to be very selective about our friends or anybody else, relatives or whoever.
But sometimes some some unbearable people turn out to be our relatives or some people or boss or some people we can never avoid also.
We have to
It's not.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So the key is objectivity. As Puja Swamiji says, we have to learn to accept people as they are. Does not mean that we allow them to stand on top of our head, but uh, it is kind of a certain objectivity that these people will be there like this only. I have to learn to accept. I have to accept them as they are, and do what is needful to uh, not let them get on top of me, and to avoid getting trampled by them. But at the same time, I should not have to run away from them.
Yes.
So this one attitude has to be developed through meditation and all. And there is one book called Freedom from Relationships, which particularly deals with this
Who
subject
wrote
of
that?
Pujisamji. It's a transcription of his talks.
Yeah, actually, in the last class also you told one book. I have to make a note of all these books because I'll be going to Aneka to Ashwin. So at the time I
Oh,
want to
great.
purchase these books.
Yeah. Last class I was telling about living intelligently
Yeah, this is freedom from
from
relationships.
relationships. Yeah, it is. Sorry, it is freedom in relationships. Sorry, that
Okay.
meaning itself changes because
Okay.
Swamiji does not advocate for freedom from relationships, but he advocates for freedom in relationships.
Okay.
While we are related to all kinds of people, we also experience a certain freedom. We don't have
Okay.
to run away from anyone, or we neither need anyone. We are over dependent on anyone, but
Hmm.
we experience a certain freedom while in relationship.
Yeah. Okay. The other one, the other book you said, the Living
Living intelligently.
Intelligence. Yeah, I noted it down. Thank you.
Okay, so we can move on. I guess these books are available on the app. Yeah, but I think it's better to have. Yeah, if you have an iPad or tablet, you can also buy it. Or is it available free?
Actually, I prefer having
Oh
books.
yeah, yeah. Me
Um,
too. I prefer because it's hard reading in this tablet or
yeah, the eyes get strained.
really yeah gets strained and it's not also good and also I personally start falling asleep in the middle if I start
Yeah,
reading from yeah
yeah,
so I prefer books.
yeah. But sometimes in travel and all that, this would be
Yeah,
useful,
oh
right?
yeah, it's yeah it's useful.
Yeah. Thanks, Nirmala, for saying.
Yeah, yeah. When yeah, Narmada is right when it is hard to carry everything then you have to but I just personally prefer these books.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice book, actually. Titles itself are very, very interesting. You have to read.
yeah. So now I think we can move on to the next value.
Yeah.
Nirmala, can you read this one? This one value. We are actually we are what we are doing now is one person will read one value like that.
Oh, okay. Hari Om, I missed a lot, so I don't know where are we. So,
Yeah, you can read from Tattva Jnanartha Darshan.
yeah, just pulling out my book. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Although this is the last value in the order given by Lord Krishna, it will be considered next. The value Atyatma Jnana Nityatva will be discussed last. Consideration in this reversed order makes possible a more logical analysis because when the value Tattva Jnanartha Darshana is assimilated, expression of the value Atyatma Jnana Nityatva becomes very natural. Tattva means truth, truth in the sense of the irreducible reality of anything and everything. Jnana, as used here in the compound Tattva Jnana, is self-knowledge. Artha means purpose or an end in the sense of a goal. Darshana is sight or vision. So Tattva Jnanartha Darshana is keeping in view the purpose of the knowledge of truth. Knowledge of truth, Tattva Jnana, is the thing to be known, Jnaya, in life, for which the values indicated earlier by the word Jnana prepare the mind. So what is the basic thing to be known in life? The basic knowledge to be discovered in life is the knowledge of what is, such as what is real, what is fundamental. What is sought is the knowledge of the truth or the fundamental nature of oneself, the creation and the creator. This knowledge of the truth of what is, the truth of everything, is the meaning of Tattva Jnana. The basic knowledge of the truth can also be called the knowledge of self, Atma Jnana, because upon inquiry, the irreducible reality of oneself turns out to be not different from the irreducible reality of God and creation. In fact, this value can be described as not losing sight of self-knowledge as one's primary goal, having an overwhelming value for that goal, so that it does not become eclipsed by other goals, but remains always in one's mind as the primary purpose in life, the recognized end behind all other ends that may be sought. Do I continue?
Yeah, please
okay.
continue till the value is over.
Okay. What is the purpose of self-knowledge? To discover within oneself an overwhelming value for keeping in view the goal of self-knowledge, one needs to know what does one gain from self-knowledge. What is the purpose served by self-knowledge? All human purposefulness can be classified under 4 headings. The collective Sanskrit name for these 4 headings is Purushartha, from Purusha, human being, and Artha, purpose, that for which a human being longs and struggles. They are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. The fourfold pursuit in a human life. Dharma, ethical standards, refers to the goal of conforming one's behavior to scripture-sanctioned ethical norms in order to obtain merit or avoid demerit in this life or the next. Alternatively, for the one who is not an adherent to any particular scriptural sanctions, it means simply the universal set of ethical standards mandated by human free will and shaped by one's wish to be treated in a certain manner by one's fellow human beings. Artha security refers to the goal of acquiring the things that one thinks will make one secure, such as money, property, possessions, power, influence, name, and fame. Kama, pleasures, is the goal of enjoying the varieties of pleasures life affords, such as physical comforts, sensory delights, and mind-pleasing escapes. Moksha, liberation, is the goal of discovering freedom from the hands of time, freedom from change, age, death, grief, and loss. Escape from a never-ending sense of inadequacy and incompleteness from all forms of limitation. The desire to be rid of desire itself. Looked at from the standpoint of the fourfold pursuit, self-knowledge, Atma Jnana, which is synonymous with knowledge of truth, Tattva Jnana, does not fit into any of the first three categories. Self-knowledge neither is mandated by scripture for the sake of obtaining merit, punya, nor for the avoidance of demerit, papa, nor is it a common sense ethical standard serving the interest of free will, self-conscious beings interacting with one another. Therefore, the purpose of self-knowledge is not to serve scriptural or common sense ethics, dharma. Moreover, self-knowledge does not result in the gain of either securities, artha, or pleasures, kama. Knowledge does not produce possessions or pleasures. Actions, efforts are required to gain securities or pleasures. Particular knowledge may be needed or useful as an aid to the effort required for a given security or pleasure, but the purpose itself is fulfilled by the effort, not by the knowledge. Knowledge shapes the effort does the job. There is no knowledge, not even the knowledge of truth, that can produce artha or kama. Where then does self-knowledge belong? There is only one category left, and that is liberation, moksha, which is in fact where Atma Jnana fits. Self-knowledge serves the purpose of moksha. The value Tattva Jnanartha Darshana means keeping in sight the goal of moksha, which is complete freedom from the human sense of limitation, incompleteness, and inadequacy. The state of mind of the person who constantly keeps in view moksha is called mumukshutva. The seeker of liberation is called a mumukshu. Thus, the value of Tattva Jnanartha Darshana can also be called the value of mumukshutva, the value for human freedom. A mumukshu never loses sight of the freedom he seeks, nor does he compromise or settle for a lesser thing. Like a salmon swimming out of the ocean back into the river from which it came, where against all odds it battles the current in its single-pointed drive back to its place of origin, so too does the mumukshu seek freedom, a freedom that is discovered in the knowledge of the truth of one's origin. Any human seeking is basically a search for liberation. However, most people seek in places where liberation is not available. The usual seekers have not singled out that freedom itself is the fundamental human end, but instead keep their vision sighted on a house, a job, a vacation, a marriage, or whatever represents a step towards completeness for them. Among these usual strugglers, some single out moksha as their goal when they have discovered that achievements do not bring lasting satisfaction, and perhaps have chanced upon some book or other writing that discusses liberation. Whatever the source, be it a book, a traveling swami, an informed friend, when the information about moksha hits ready ears, the search for information about the means to moksha begins. This search itself can lead a seeker over a lot of ground from yoga to therapy, from guru to guru, in a process of negation and natural selection until the goal of moksha gains definition and direction, and the means to it, which is knowledge alone, becomes clear. Knowledge is the only means to freedom. Why is knowledge the only means to freedom, moksha? It is because the freedom sought is limitlessness itself, that choiceless human goal underlying all other human struggles for limited ends. Limitlessness is not something that can be created or produced. If limitlessness exists, it is an ever-existent fact to be discovered. If my essential nature is that of a limited being, I can never become limitless. Limitlessness, by definition, can never be the end product of a process of becoming. An endless series of limited things will not constitute limitlessness. Limited means cannot produce limitlessness. Limitlessness either is or it is not. Therefore, if I am by essential nature bound, there can be no moksha for me. I can never be absolutely liberated. Often, as I look at the world around me and at myself, I judge myself to be bound, limited, inadequate, and sorrow-prone. At the same time, there is within me that love for freedom that, in occasional moments of joy or insight, seems to be fulfilled as fact, contradicting all my experiences of inadequacy. Thus, even though my usual experience is that of being limited on the basis of my innate need to be free, backed by intimations that freedom may be my nature, I am led to search for knowledge of the truth of myself to discover whether or not I am that being I want to be. If the freedom I seek is an accomplished fact, my failure to appreciate that fact can only be due to ignorance. And if my only problem is one of ignorance, search for liberation becomes a search for the knowledge that will dispel the ignorance that keeps me from knowing myself as I am. A search for moksha, which has become a search for knowledge, is an informed mumukshutva, which is a quest for freedom, characterized by recognition of the underlying basic human need to be free. One becomes an informed seeker of freedom by examining one's own efforts, experiences, being limited, do not produce lasting freedom, and by the comprehension that it is through knowledge and knowledge alone that one does gain freedom. It is the desire for freedom, mumukshutva, which has matured into a desire to know, jijnasa, which indicates a state of mind bent on inquiry for the sake of knowledge. What knowledge does the mumukshu seek? He or she seeks the knowledge of the truth of oneself, Atma Jnana, which can also be called the knowledge of truth, Tattva Jnana. Tattva Jnanartha Darshana simply is a value for mature mumukshutva, a value for keeping in mind as one's primary goal. Tattva Jnana, which is synonymous with liberation, moksha.
So basically, this Tattva Jnanartha Darshana is simply Jijnasatva. We discussed in Tattva Bodha. So what I found beautiful is that usually Pujya Swamiji takes us from Mumukshutva to Jijnasatvam. Here he has taken first this Jijnasatvam, and from there he has led us to from whether Jijnasatvam helps in gaining dharma, whether it helps in gaining artha or kama, and then he has led us to it helps in gaining moksha. Yeah, very beautifully explained actually. And I'm not sure. I don't remember. I think the Nirmalaji was not there in that class where Pujya Swamiji was testing us on our in how we would be when we gain jnana. No, not this class, but in her class on Upadesh Saram, she was asking us this question: what we think we would be when we gain jnana. So she asked this question to ourselves, and we all gave answers. And she said that, yeah.
question of Jnani, yeah, how you've been when you are, what we think we would be when we are a Jnani. And it was basically a self-checking, self-evaluation, and yeah, very much required. So we found that we were not actually so much motivated by Jnasatvam, but rather a relative search for freedom from our problems actually. So more close to a mumukshutvam, but not even really a mumukshutvam. Yeah, that was the that correct question. Sorry, that was not correct. Didn't come to my memory, but it is similar to what I. Is there anything else to share? Or else we can close up because my parents have returned from a pilgrimage, so I have to be there. Next time we have to start from page 125. Adhyatma Jnana Nityatva. So I think we can finish by next class, maybe, or may not. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, I think we can finish.
So what is selected for the next one after this?
No, I am not actually doing any books till June, probably June. So I'll be starting only by July, as I have some exams. So probably Prashantji will be taking up some other books instead in the same time.
Okay.
We are discussing it, and I'll inform you, or he'll be informing you what text you. Okay, then we can close off with a prayer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.